Dr. Of course, a lot to talk about. And in this regard, with regards to the containment measures by the president, which to some level is a varying degree of more or less a lockdown, and the president talking about or hinting at his government or he himself talking the faster and the firm measures in the event they will be needed or if need be. Does it signal, perhaps, looking at the tone of the president yesterday, does it signal or prophesize what's forthcoming in the name of a lockdown, even as he applied the emergency brakes yesterday?
We did ask the president to reboot to our default settings because looking at the essential for health, it ought to have begun from primary level, which is the community, to secondary level, which is isolation centers, and then to tertiary, which is ICU. And in the last weeks or days, we've seen the pronouncement that were coming from the government end. Majorly, they were not bringing out exactly what was happening within our communities. And that was bringing a lot of worry. Their focus was at tertiary and secondary level, where they were just giving us numbers in ICU and numbers that also passed in the ICU, and a bit of the secondary where they had isolation centers, which you saw actually there was a trend of mistreatment in various isolation centers where they are poorly taken care of, where there were no provision for what was needed actually to protect themselves even within those areas. Actually, we heard that even some also went partying. In other words, there was no effective sensitization for these people to understand the situation they were in. Because for somebody in an isolation center to be partying in a crowd while in quarantine, it simply exposed the overlaps, especially on the government side and the professionals who ought to actually be guiding these dear citizens, who we should know should be somebody's father, somebody's mother, or somebody's sister or daughter, or even an husband and wife. So if we are not going to take good care of these guys, and then there was also quiet, actually they were mute on the communal approach. And we made a loud cry. And
before we go to the communal approach, Dr. because it's very expansive, you have mentioned a very important point in regard to, of course, Kenyans going about their parting processes.
Right.
But that is not only happening in the quarantine centers across the country, of course, designated by the government.
Right.
There are Kenyans who on Fridays, Saturday and Sunday nights do party in the homesteads.
Yes.
And this has largely happened across the country.
Right.
So even in the midst of this, even say a lockdown comes,
yes,
where is that self-discipline, the self-driven attitude by Kenyans?
Yes.
Not doing it for the government, but ensuring that they keep at bay the spread of the pandemic.
We've emphasized on this platform that there is a general responsibility, individual responsibility to begin with the person. And then we have collective national responsibility. And this is a global issue. So generally, all of us equally needs to be responsible on our own level. But there should be accompanying sensitization that inform those who do not understand. I saw yesterday somebody says that president's speech should be translated in Swahili so that police should understand. What president's speech is all about. Some thought
maybe
that
cases of ambiguity
yes,
and the length of the speeches.
Well, because police has been killing more than even the virus itself. Because so Kenyans are worried that the police should also understand. So to an extent, that understanding, leave alone on the level of the citizen, even the police themselves need to understand the enemy that we are fighting. And for us to defeat it, that is why we needed the government instruments. From the community level, we have Nyumba Kumi, we have the chiefs, we have MCAs and all those. We have even the governor at the county level. Okay. And with all these other instruments we had, by now everyone should be aware that contingency measures to protect us from this, from further infection, needs to be put in place. And it begins with us. And due to lack of that, that is why we witness all these overlaps. Okay. And for us to defeat these overlaps, then we need every every institution needs to be put into action. And this is why we were calling the government kindly And majorly this was happening because the government was not actually having homemade solution to this approach. They were copy-pasting a lot of what they're seeing from outside.
Okay.
And I think that is what led us to
But in your view, this needs perhaps home solution for home problems.
Exactly. So when he has locked Nairobi, you know, locking Nairobi is like locking the country, the entire country, because
course, yes.
Our economy is majorly based within the capital city.
Of course, alliance share of the GDP.
Exactly. So once you've locked Nairobi, what we would have expected, as we are all here, I would have expected to see all of us testing kids, because the intention is to mop up the community. Once you've mopped up the community, then you isolate the infected and release the safe citizen back to the economy.